What's up, folks, and welcome to Indie Showcase. The shmups start coming and they don't stop coming, and you wouldn't believe how many takes it took me to get that right. Yeah, we are taking a look at another one today, and these just keep coming out, and I'm loving it, honestly. The developer of this one actually reached out to me after seeing me hanging out on the Shmup Junkies Discord, and I'm really glad they did, because this is quite the package. So yeah, this is Hellblasters, and yeah, your screen is not adjusted wrong. This is a very, very vertical game, needless to say. It does have something in the options that allow you to rotate the screen if you are running in tate orientation or vertical orientation, so you can get a more full screen view of that. But this is a game that is very much based around the vertical orientation. And I think that's pretty cool. Very NES style as well. The music is a little more capable than the NES could have been, but the graphics are very much in keeping with that. And I'll tell you, this has been quite something. It's made by a very small team, and it's been quite impressive for a number of reasons in terms of the features it brings to the table. The mechanics of it are a little more stripped down and simplified, but also more focused, which I really like as well. So I'm just quickly showing you guys some of the options here. There are a huge ton of them. There's your tate mode if you want it, and you can increase a lot of different options with regards to that. So you can really get yourself a customized experience, especially if you're someone who has a display that is really capable of taking advantage of this in its full glory, if you will. So this does have an arcade mode. It's also got score attack. It also has a full story mode, which is kind of crazy. Now this is partially to tutorialize you into the various mechanics of the game, as well as the enemy design. But as you can see here, I've actually finished one run of the story mode, and there's a bunch of actual story segments that happen in between the missions, and then there's the tutorial segments as well. You can see there's quite a bit to this. It actually took me a couple hours to go through it. You know, shmup stories, most of the time I'm kind of like, but this one is kind of interesting. There's a lot to it, let me put it that way. It's pretty neat. And every mission has 3 different stars that you can get for completing them with using no hits, no bombs, and achieving a score target. You can do that on every mission, and there's 4 difficulties in this game as well, each of which keeps their own high score. Like I said, there's quite a bit going on here. I will say that the gameplay art in this is pretty decent. In terms of the art of these cutscenes, it's hit and miss. It's a little basic, I find, for the most part. It's fine. It does the job. But I just think that it looks... I've definitely seen more vivid examples of pixel art, but it still looks pretty decent. So that was just one little quick thing there. I won't go through too much of it to avoid spoilers, but... yeah, so I'm going to show you what this looks like here. So you've got 4 different difficulty modes. The normal is obviously what they recommend. There is a hard mode, and there's 2 easier modes that allow you to do what's called auto bombing, which, yeah, is something that obviously makes it a lot easier. Now, there are only 2 characters in this. Each has their own different weapon configuration and usage here. There are no weapon power-ups in this, which is a little bit interesting. A lot of games like this, you know, typically have the mechanics where when you're playing them, you pick up different weapons and potentially power-ups that can increase the, you know, the power level of those weapons. This doesn't have that. You have multiple different weapon types at your disposal here, and your goal is to use the things that you're given in their default configuration in the best way possible. So it's less about trying to upgrade yourself for maximum power and just making the most efficient use of what you got to both keep yourself alive and also to try to maximize your score. So you have a standard rapid fire, which you got here. You can actually see the button inputs on the left side. So people who do, you know, score attack for world records and stuff like that are going to appreciate that. This game is clearly designed with those people in mind. So you've got your standard rapid shot. You have what they just call shot mode, which actually, as you can see, sort of focuses your beam down, and that's much better for taking out larger enemies, obviously. It puts more power in a much smaller area. And you do have bomb weapons as well, which don't actually clear the whole screen, interestingly enough. They are really a sort of save your arse because you got surrounded type of thing, which I think is quite cool. The game really doesn't want you using bombs if you can avoid it. There's a lot of score bonuses and story star mechanics and that attached to not using bombs. So it's really one of those things where if you're playing this right, you shouldn't ever need them, is really the way that I think they're approaching it here. You also don't have lives in this. You should see there in the upper left, I do have a life bar, and the extend score that's on the left side there, when you achieve that, actually just gives you one more pip on that life bar. So you never actually die and reset to a checkpoint or even just respawn. It's just how much damage you can take. If you take a hit, your chain resets and you just keep going, and that's it until it's out, and then it's game over. And you can either continue at the start of the level, losing your score, or you can bail out from there. And as you can see, there is a chaining system as well. The scoring system in this game is actually really, really cool. So the chain system directly affects how much you're going to get rewarded for each enemy kill. The enemies do have, as far as I can tell anyway, the enemies do have their own score values as well, but that's also multiplied by the chain. And if you're really good at this, you can have a chain that persists throughout an entire level uninterrupted. There's actually a real significant amount of depth to the scoring system. And the chain, as you can see there, it has its tick down bar and it's reset not by enemy kills, but by enemy hits. So it makes it a little easier there. Now, to talk a little bit more about the weapons, so we've got that, and you see here, I've got on the Y button, it says SPC, I'm not actually sure what that stands for, but that is an extra heavy concentrated weapon. And you'll see there that I have that little circular bar that's surrounding my ship. So that recharges by doing damage with your normal weapons to enemies, and then you press the Y button, and it puts out, in this character's case, it's this sort of focused beam, and with the other character, it's more of like a single shot. The thing almost looks like a boomerang, even though it doesn't actually come back to you. That does, again, a lot of concentrated damage to whatever's directly in front of it. But it's more of a single shot thing, whereas this is continuous. The difference with that weapon is that you have the ability to fire multiples of it. You can keep multiple of it sort of in your weapon inventory, for lack of a better term. And it doesn't take quite as long to recharge as this one does. So that's kind of the trade-off between these two characters. This one is the one that I generally prefer, but I could certainly see a case for people preferring the other character as well. They've created a really neat dichotomy between the two here. You see here, you get your end of level bonuses, pretty typical, arcade shmup kind of thing. And my chain there is going to reset because I've gotten to the next level. So let me back out here and I will show you the other character. Their name's Summer and Winter. So yeah, so we were playing this one. So we'll try out Winter, and you'll see how her mechanics are a little bit different here. So yeah, this game definitely has a lot to it. Between the story mode and the score attack mode, which is its own separate level, that's it's not really timed. It's more of a caravan mode where you have a single level to get through, and if you can get to it, you don't have to finish it to be able to submit your score, but obviously you're going to get the biggest ones if you manage to get your way through it and score a big combo. It's a level really designed around that specific thing. So you do have that, and you have the story mode, which, like I said, shmup stories are what they are, but they put a lot of work into putting some detail in this one, and it's a story about war between multiple fictional countries, and there's a lot to it, and it does tutorialize the different mechanics of things very well, and has its own separate set of challenges as well, so, an entirely different batch of stuff you can do there. So you sort of see the weapon I'm shooting out from her here. I guess it's really not a boomerang. It's more focused than that. It's more like a large arrow. But you'll see in the charge meter around her that it's very, very different, and that I can shoot multiple ones simultaneously, or in a row, I should say. But I have multiple ones available to shoot on demand as long as I have things charged up enough. So they play very differently. And some people may be turned off by the fact that there aren't weapons and power that you can get in the levels, but I actually like the way they did this. It keeps things a little bit more focused, and in terms of the competitiveness of this game, when you're going for top score, it puts things on a bit more of a level playing field. So rather than having, because games that have multiple weapons, there tends to be one that's always better than the others. And it's like, well, if you just design your run around getting that weapon as soon as possible and focusing on it, you're going to do best with that. Anything else, and you're at a disadvantage. So this really allows for a standardized level playing field, which I really appreciate that. I actually think there's something to be said for that. Plus, there's the huge number of different difficulties and the different modes in this. There's even, if we go back to the main menu here, there's even an arcade practice mode that allows you to pick different characters, difficulties, and particular stages that you've already completed so that you can work on practicing with that stuff. Really, really neat. There's a bunch of achievements in this. I actually don't have most of them. Most of them are pretty gnarly, actually. There's the different endings that you've seen. There's a separate visual gallery. This is really neat sort of concept art, but the game is all very 8-bit. You don't get anything like that in there. Clearing the arcade mode, which I've not actually done yet, will give you this thing here. But here's what I really like. This game has local and online leaderboards with replays in a game that's developed by this small a team. Really impressed by that. Now, you can't scrub through the replays or anything like that. When you start one, you have to watch it from end to end. You can't jump around, as far as I know. But you can save your own replays, and any of the ones that you download, you can just pick a slot for them and drop them in there. Downloads almost immediately. So we've downloaded that one, so we can go into the replay menu. So let's see what this person did. I've said it before. I really, really like replays because it not only allows you to watch some god tier play, you know, people who play these games at a level I will never be able to, but it helps combat cheating because you know that someone had to have beaten a game legitimately because it was recorded. And if they didn't, well, then you know it's fake. You know, I really like that. And as I've said before, I understand that this is not something that every developer, especially very small ones, has the resources to do. But this was a very tiny team, and they pulled it off. And I really think that's awesome. Yeah, the ability to scrub around the replays would be kind of nice if you want to see specific stages or things like that. But that's a pretty minor gripe. The fact that they're here is the most important thing. And they do it, like I said, they have their own online leaderboard system as well for all the different modes and difficulties. Really, really impressed with that. Great quality of life stuff. And I think that's really cool. The only real complaint, if I were to have one with this game, is that, yeah, I think the art is a little basic in cutscenes, and you do have this side art here, which I think is kind of cool. Now, by default, it sets to adaptive, which just gives you that sort of wireframe look of the two different characters, depending on which one that you pick. But there are some additional ones as well. So there's the fixed one. So you have fixed ones like this, which do give you a bit more of the 3D art like that. A little bit more of these would have been good, but it's not a huge deal. The game even has the ability to show your frame rate, which I think is cool. It is locked to 60, regardless of what monitor you have. I don't think that's a problem. Again, keeps everything on a level playing field, and as long as it's a rock solid 60 frames a second, then I think that's perfectly fine. And yeah, this game is fully 2D. I haven't tried it on anything low end, but I'm sure it would run absolutely fine that way. So I'm going to show you quickly here what the score attack mode looks like. Yeah, and I know some people, more casual players, will probably be turned off by the very vertical nature of this and the fact that they're going to say, why is so much of the screen real estate wasted if you don't have either a vertical monitor or are not willing to go through the hassle to set that up if you're not someone who just happens to run a vertical monitor day to day. It's funny, I know lots of streamers who have a vertical monitor, especially for chat and things like that. I have 3 monitors here, they're all horizontal. I've never run a vertical monitor, it's just never really worked for me. You know, it's just never jived with me, I should say. And yeah, but everyone's got their own opinion on that. I don't mind this, honestly, because the playfield is very well utilized, and this is a game that was clearly designed from the ground up to be a vertical game. And I don't have a problem with games that do that as long as they utilize it and give those people who have the option of a vertical setup an easy way to maintain that for themselves and to utilize that. And this does. So in that regard, I think they did a great job. And yeah, this is a fairly serious shmup. It's on the normal difficulty. You know, if you know your way around, it's not too hard, but you've got to use all parts of the antelope, if you will, when you're using your different abilities here. You've got to really make sure that you utilize everything. As you can see, it gets very bullet helly in spots. The harder difficulties are definitely hard. So, you know, if you're someone who really likes a challenge, this game can provide it. But if you're someone who just wants a casual blow things up and watch numbers tick up experience too, it'll do that for you too. And overall, I think what I can just say about it is it's a really, really good package. It's a well-crafted game by people who clearly understand how to make a good shmup. And it comes with lots of options, lots of competitive options built right in, lots of, you know, ability to learn from better players and to practice. You know, it has a story mode if you want it that, even if you don't like shmup stories, still has a lot of features to offer in it. And there's a lot of enemy variety. The bullet patterns are really cool. I mean, I'm fighting a coffee cup right now. Like, what? And you can see it just gets utterly banana cakes here. And yeah, there's a lot of good enemy variety. There are really good bullet designs in this. I think it can get really, really gnarly in spots. The bosses are very interesting and different in that sort of goofy NES style where you know, a lot of games on the NES just had these really weird bosses and things like that. Clearly a lot of inspiration from classic Japanese shmups from back in the day. And yeah, it's a great package overall. For something made by such a small team, I gotta say, this has really impressed me. So I believe it's only on PC right now. Hopefully it comes to other things. This would be great on all kinds of platforms, but I really think this crew at PlayShift did a really great job with this. So I managed to actually get to the end there. I know that was not my best run of that mode by far, but yeah, I think these guys did a really great job. And if you like shmups, especially of the 8-bit variety, you should absolutely check this out. I think it'll give you many hours of fun. Shmups that have been more expensive than this. Oh, hey, sweet. Got an achievement there too. Shmups that are more expensive than this and have less going for them, I have thought of as pretty good values before. So needless to say, this one has, I think, a lot to offer any prospecting player. So as always, I love seeing the fact that there are more and more shmups coming out. I love to see the scene growing, especially on the PC side. We're definitely sending that up. Yeah. All right. Nice. And I hope this continues, and I hope we manage to keep a nice community going for this. So yeah, that is Hellblasters. It's a good time. If you like shmups, grab it. I know I've been covering a lot of these lately, and this is not going to be the last one. I have other shmups that I've been given keys for. Like I said, they just keep coming, man. But I'm loving this, and this is a genre that I'm very passionate about. And hope I can get you guys more interested in it as well. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here, as usual, please do all the YouTube things. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications on future videos. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about both this game and some of your other favorite shmups, either on the PC or elsewhere. I'm always down to talk this genre. And there's a lot more coming out all the time, some of which I don't even know about. It's hard to keep up with everything that comes out on PC. So let me know if you see anything like that. I would love to know about it. And also, you can follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week, including games that we don't always cover over here. Got a great little community over there, and I'd love to see you. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you on the next Indie Showcase. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.